All right, you guessed it, I am standing at the iconic Lake Bonavista. In this video, I'm going to take you through and explain to you everything that you should know about the history of Lake Bonavista, about what this whole lifestyle of living in Lake Bonavista offers, and what it would be like to own a piece of real estate and actually live here. All right, so when this lake came into existence back in 1967, and a very well-known developer that if you live in Lake Bonavista, believe me, everyone knows E.V. Keith. Keith built homes. To this day, is still one of the biggest well-known builders of all time in Calgary. Not only did he build an incredible product, but he had the vision for this lake. And apparently he got the dream from California, and he was considered pretty radical. And a little history for you, he started building this lake without even having his permits because the City of Calgary was taking so long. He just went ahead and did it. And he was so far into it, the city just said, okay, let's do it. And that's how we got it permitted. But he built this community with a vision, and that's why he didn't want any condos built in this area. He didn't want multifamily. He wanted this to be primarily a single family development that had an entire lifestyle with it. So you've got 52 acres of lake here and another 25 acres of park. So when you can see I'm standing here right now, it feels like I'm outside the city. You wouldn't even think we were in Calgary right now. That's what makes this lake a lifestyle. And that's really, when you own in this area, it is a lifestyle that you can create, and people really embrace it. You can swim here in the summer, you can fish on this lake, and of course now it's almost winter time. This is going to be frozen over, and you can skate around the whole lake, and people really do embrace it. Now, a couple of features about this lake that are kind of cool is you'll notice it even has an island, so in the wintertime you can skate out there or take a boat out there in the summertime. And you'll notice that all these properties that are bordering the lake, and there's some pretty luxury homes. It's an incredible lifestyle because you can have your own dock, and then of course you can just go onto your dock and get onto your boat and go fishing, and that just feels like you're at your own lake house, which is really cool. And you'll also notice over in the distance that there is the Lake House restaurant, and that's really an iconic restaurant that's been on this lake for I think almost since it was built, and quite well known, and you can sit in that restaurant and just really take in the lake. So when you're here again at Lake Bonavista, it does feel like you're at a lake outside the city, and I think that's what really adds to the entire lifestyle that this offers. And one more added feature for in the wintertime, they bought a Zamboni in this community so that they can actually flood it and scrape it and make it really easy for skating for everybody to use all winter long. And that's really an added bonus because believe me, the skating on this lake is a pretty important feature in the wintertime. All right, now Keith built homes, being that they did build most of the houses in Lake Bonavista at the time, and we're going back to late 60s and 70s is when most of these homes were built. They did two-story splits, which if you're not familiar with two-story splits, you've got a larger main floor footprint, and then you have a little bit smaller upstairs. That's generally how they were done. There are a lot of two stories, and there are also a ton of bungalows, but that's primarily the three styles of homes that you're going to find here at Lake Bonavista. Now, if you look behind me, you'll notice that this is a typical two-story split. And you'll also notice that this home behind me is one of many that of course have been completely renovated. And in this video, I'm even going to take you in and show you a bit of an idea of what these typical floor plans look like on a two-story split, and how you could even own one of these, maybe one of the dated ones, and maybe do a remodel yourself, or you could pick yourself up one of these newer ones that have been remodeled and they look great. And you can see that an area like Lake Bonavista, because the lifestyle here is so amazing, the neighborhood, the community, the people, and the location within the City of Calgary is so amazing that people want to stay here. And to stay here means that you're prepared to even take one of these older homes and spend the money and remodel them. And I'll tell you the other cool thing about it is you can get your money out of it after you put your money into it. And that doesn't always apply to every neighborhood in Calgary when it comes to some of these older neighborhoods, but it does apply to Lake Bonavista because people really want to live in this neighborhood and they're willing to pay a pretty good amount of money to live here. In fact, as it stands right now, the benchmark price for a detached house in Lake Bonavista is just over $800,000 as it stands right now. So you can see that it's not cheap to get into this neighborhood, but you can still pick up some of these homes in the 600s that need work. And then of course, as you get into ones that have been renovated, you're looking at, in most cases, over 900,000. So another really beautiful feature for Lake Bonavista is having a large backyard with mature trees, meaning that this neighborhood was built in 1967. A lot of the trees were planted after that, so they're really nice and mature, and they're big, and they offer nice and shade in the summertime. But look at the size of these yards, and this is just a typical Lake Bonavista yard. So typically, 50 feet wide, 100 feet back. There's a lot of lots like that, and there's even a lot of lots that are bigger than that. And that's another thing that really makes Lake Bonavista special, because in the summertime, you like to be in the backyard. Who doesn't want to have a yard this big? All right, now that we're inside this particular two-story split, you'll notice that this floor plan, which is pretty normal for Lake Bonavista, it has a formal living room, which is separate from the kitchen. And you got to remember, back in those days, that was pretty common, is to have the kitchen completely separate from the living room. And I think more and more people still like it. Now, this home has been remodeled, and it is somewhat open into the dining room area, which, by the way, is another thing that people really embrace now since COVID, is actual formal dining rooms. They made a comeback, I think, because a lot of people are entertaining a lot more, and these types of homes really do offer that. And I think it's great to me to have this, because you've got that extra living space on the main level. This home does have a fireplace as well, which is nice to be able to sit in the living room. And of course, you got that big bay window as well, floor to ceiling. It gives a lot of natural light coming in here too. And this is just really a typical type of two-story split in Lake Bonavista. A lot of the newer neighborhoods, have that completely open concept, which is fine. And some of these bungalows that are in Lake Bonavista, people have done that, where they've just opened it right up, and you can do that because there is a lot of bungalows that you can do that in this neighborhood. But if you like this separation concept and these 2 stories or 2-story splits, there is a ton of houses that you could buy and rental them and still keep that separation. Now, this particular home, you can see the kitchen's been completely remodeled, which looks great. And they even took a wall back about a foot to make room for this large island, which everybody wants a large island, but you can see just the kind of potential that you can do with remodeling these homes. And this particular home also has a sunken family room with another fireplace. You got that extra space for being able to relax. And of course, you can still finish the basement. So really, a home like this, you've got 3 living spaces, including the basement, which really gives you that extra square footage, even though this isn't really a real large house. But when you add all the living space that you can remodel and have 3 family rooms in the house, gives you that extra room that you need. And you can only do that on these larger lots that are 50 feet wide. Otherwise, there's no way you could have this big of a footprint on this type of a home. But that's what makes Lake Bonavista unique. And there's a whole bunch of homes that you could do this with in Lake Bonavista. What I like about this neighborhood is there's a lot of people who have raised their kids here, and the kids are now grown and having their own families, and the parents now have to downsize, and they are going to something smaller. And there's a whole bunch of these homes that are dated, and they're coming on the market every single month. And if you're interested in doing a remodel of some of these homes, there's an opportunity. But there's also an opportunity to purchase some of the homes that have also been remodeled already, and you could just move in. Like a home like this, you could just step right into and do nothing. And so Lake Bonavista offers a choice either way. But there is a lot of choice when it comes to this style of home if you like the look of it. And Lake Bonavista, all these homes are built by Keith, and Keith has a reputation to this day after all these years. The man retired in 1977, and his name is still a household name in Lake Bonavista because the man knew what he was doing and he built a great product, and people have faith in that product even to this day. Now you notice I'm standing on the berm, which is right along Anderson Drive, which is, everybody uses this to walk their dogs because there's a ton of people in Lake Bonavista that are dog lovers, and it's kind of cool. So this is actually a dog walking community, believe me. But what else is great about this community after all the wonderful things I've said in this video is the location of Lake Bonavista. Because in Lake Bonavista, you can walk to South Center Mall, you can walk to the C train. I mean, there's so many different places that you can get to without even getting in your car. And that's really what adds to the value of Lake Bonavista. I mean, if you're growing up here even as a teenager, it's so great to be able to get to all of your activities that you have to go to. Your mom and dad don't have to take you and drive you there. You can actually just get on the bus and get to where you need to go pretty easy. So that really is what adds to all the other bonuses and features that this community has to offer. So for Lake Bonavista, or any other of the lake communities for that matter, if you want to get more information on those, do me a favor, put some comments in the comments. I love hearing the comments, even for people who may be familiar with Lake Bonavista. Give me your comments. If you're not familiar, give me your comments. I love hearing them. And of course, you can always reach out if you've got questions about these lake communities and you want to get a little bit more information about them. And if you really have enjoyed this video, which I hope you have, go ahead and just like it for me. That would be wonderful. You can subscribe because I do these videos all the time. And you can even, get the bell happening so you can be notified every time I do one of these videos.